Alright everyone, I am going to do a video on my 922R compliant SKS. Now, there's a lot that went into this, and I disassembled it for the video. And we can get into everything that's in it, and the things that I like the most about what I'm doing, and what I might change, and some advice I might have for people who want to make their SKSs more modern, more customizable. I don't view taking that rifle, barrel, and receiver out of that wood stock and putting it in here changes anything about this rifle per se. The only thing it does is makes it more ergonomic, makes it more customizable, makes it more combat ready, even more effective. So, what I started with here, the first thing I bought for this SKS was, of course, a receiver cover, which I will get into a little later. But the most important thing I bought was this Sage EBR Stock. As you can see, I put some UTG rail mount covers on here. These are kind of a hard plastic, durable. You guys can see I have the foliage green on there. I'm sorry, you'll never be able to find those again. I bought the last of them. I bought the last of this color of these, and I don't think that they're making them anymore. But this here is a Combat Arms buttstock with a cheek riser, adjustable cheek riser. It is rather nice. Has a spot on the other side where you can store batteries. Also American made, since the buttstock is a 922R regulated part. So this is an aluminum stock here. You can see down in there everything works really well. Barrel should be free floating. Here you'll see some contact points with the receiver. Here, and a little here. Now this has been fired several hundred times since it's been installed, so these little scratch marks, it's probably about as bad as it's going to get. And the receiver is going to bed up against all this, and from here to here. And once it's in there, it's kind of hard to get out. So you want to make sure you're ready to go. Now, I've taken this apart several times because I also did a lot of work to this trigger group. And these things all have to go in at once. So if I'm going to show you them, I need to show you them before I put it together. Here, this piece here is Gould Engineering and Machining Extended Mag Release. It is from Vermont. It's an aluminum part, or steel. It's probably aluminum. Hasn't gotten an ounce of rust on it. It works very well. Very handy. It's not too close to the trigger group that you're accidentally going to squeeze this one. There's a lot of distance here. It's effortless, although with the paddle mags that I use, I don't really need them. The mags I use, you guys will have to pardon me, I don't have a workbench like some YouTubers. I am doing this on my living room floor. These work very well for the SKS, and the Gould Engineering Machining has worked pretty well with this. You know, they're going to run into each other about here. I'll put it all together in the end, but they cooperate. They cooperate really nicely. And it's a duplicitous. It's a bit of a redundancy, but at the same time, redundancy is good, I think. And it's really nice to have things say, made in the USA, all over your rifle. And that's what leads me to my next piece here. This is my trigger group, and you may notice that my trigger looks a little different. On the other side, you can see here it clearly says USA manufacturer. This is the Murray's Gunsmithing trigger. Not only that, so is this spring, so is this hammer, so is a couple of the other parts in there. There's the Sear, Also a regulated part made by Murray's. Works very well. All this. Even the safety, I probably won't get the light to work with me there. Safety spring. Yeah, the light's not going to cooperate for that one to be seen. Okay. But, you know, that's it. And this makes your trigger pull very smooth. I don't have a workbench, and I did this all without it. I would not recommend doing this without a workbench. I used to be a maintenance guy. I work in engineering now. I'm pretty savvy and pretty good with my hands. And unless you're really good with your hands, I would either let Murray's do this, or a machinist you know, a gunsmither you know, or at least have a lot of proper tools you need. Vices, you're going to need punches, and you're going to need oil, and yeah, because all these pins have got to come out. You've got to take all these pins out and take this thing entirely apart to get this to work. Now, one of the things that you don't get from Murray's, that you don't have to take the gun entirely apart to do, is this here spring, which is attached to your mag release, but it's also attached to your Sear, which engages your trigger. So this will lighten your trigger pull. This is an M Carbo spring. I believe it's in California. I believe they come out of California. M * Carbo, if you want to look them up. But they create this spring, and it not only is a little lighter on your mag release, not much tension there compared to the original, but it will lighten your trigger pull to between 2, 3, 4 pounds. And that is amazing. You can see their video on how to install that. It's not too difficult. Knock that pin out, take out the old one, put this spring in, put the mag release back in, and punch that pin back through. Now this may narrow up, and you may notice that it's a little tight, you may notice it's a little loose, but fabricating this a little bit, you know, either knock it in one direction or the other to make this open up a little more, or close a little more, so that you can control the tightness on your mag release. Too tight and it won't move. Not tight enough and it doesn't want to fit inside the rifle. May not cooperate very well. But you can see there is some wear and tear on my Murray's parts. They have worked very well, not failed me. And that includes the other Murray part that I got, which is where's my bolt? So, if you see here, this one here says made in the USA. This is a spring-loaded firing pin. I got this installed in my rifle after my fiance shot my rifle and it slam fired on her. Now, it had slam fired a couple times before, but it really startled her and she did not want to shoot it after that. So this here saves the day. Not only that, this is also a regulated part, stamped made in USA. And one of the other things I had a problem with was stovepipes. I had a problem with catching cartridges in the closing bolt. So I'd have half a cartridge sticking out of my rifle, and obviously you can't shoot there, so you got to fix your failure. Now, Murray's also makes an extractor claw spring replacement, and when I took mine out, it was bent and obviously old. It's a 60-year-old rifle. You got to understand, of course, some things are going to be old and wore out, especially springs. These things are not built to last forever. Nothing metal is going to last forever. And upgrading your parts is the same thing as maintenance, in my opinion. You're just doing maintenance. So that's how all that works out there. Now, my bolt carrier is obviously stock. There's not very many places that sell non-stock bolt carriers, but there is a eBay page where they're selling left-handed American-made charging handles, where they buy the original charging handles and fabricate onto them a left-handed charging pull. You can look it up, you'll see it. It's black. It's got a circular notch on there like a piston, like the pistons do, kind of like that shape. Now this I'll show you too. This is also an American-made part. This is off of eBay, 922R compliant, and it is a USA made gas tube from Iowa. You can get that on eBay. You can't hardly find the Tapco ones anymore. Tapco quit making them, as well as the operating rods. Tapco quit making those as well. And there's not much. Give me a second to grab a towel here. Not much else on that one. Now the gas tube, you'll notice, is black. Now that comes with the Sage kit. And it's pretty easy to get on there if you know what you're doing. Now there's lots of videos on how to get these on here. There are a couple of different people that make them. Now this here, you can see it has thickness, it has depth. It's going to act as a heat sink. It's made out of aluminum, which does not hold heat very well. Aluminum sheds heat instead of holding on to it. Acts as a conduit to get rid of heat and disperse it into the air. But you may have to bang it on there if you get one of these. It's a little tight, but steel is harder than aluminum, and any tightness will work its way out. The steel is going to overcome the aluminum, and you'll get it right in there the way you need to. Alright, so now let's put this guy together, and I'll show you how it's done. The Sage EBR Stock out of Flint, Michigan. First things first, we're going to put this in here, obviously. Now, we don't want to get it in there all the way, because before you get it in all the way, you've got to have the trigger grip ready to go. Okay, I set it up in there. I'm trying to do this one-handed, but you're going to set this trigger grip up in here, and you're going to try to latch it with the receiver a little bit, and try to get these two to lever in together from the nose down. Alright, so pardon me while I try to do this. It's not going to work. Okay, now I should have thought this out before I started, guys. But one-handed doing this is going to be way more difficult than I could imagine, at least while trying to hold on to the phone and give you guys a cognitive view of what's going on. So, cognizant is probably the better word, view of what's going on. Let's just get the receiver, for the most part, in. Right? Okay. Now, one of the other things you got to do is you're going to want the trigger to be back here behind this thing already. You want this to be here, ready to go. But at the same time, latching up here on these guys. And you want to be connecting here. And while you do that, you're just going to try to lever the entire thing together, and it should just go. When I do it the right way with two hands, it usually just snaps right together. But trying to watch this through the camera and do it causing me a bit of an issue. I feel like I'm not doing a very good job here. Okay. Every few seconds. Alright, I finally got everything set up the right direction. So I am connected on the inside here, the trigger group, the two little bars across, or the bar across here is connecting to the two little holes in my receiver. I am connected here, and I'm behind here. So I am ready to go. So we're literally just going to just squeeze it in. And bang, it's good to go. All you got to do is make sure that this is in safe, and close it. Bang, so you hear it click. It's in. And as you know, the next stage is the gas tube. So, same as before. I mean, there's lots of videos on how to put a gas tube back on. We all know how to do this. If you've got an SKS by now, you know this. I'll clean that later. I just test fired this rifle the other day because I just got this gas piston and wanted to make sure that it wouldn't cause any feed errors, and it did not. Put about 30 rounds through and did not have a stovepipe or misfeed or any of that nonsense that you would expect to have if your gas piston was not right. It's on there. And you know, there's lots of videos on how to customize the back end of here. You do need to do that, even if you have your original. I found even with my original gas tube, once I replaced this guy, you still had to shape the back of here a little bit to make this fit, which is pretty normal for any of those whenever you get something like that. And then back with this. Now, I went with the UTG, see if we can get you to see it, dust cover. Trying to get this camera to focus, it's not liking this. There it goes, UTG USA. So I like it. It's works rather well. That channel comes in handy. Now obviously with the dust covers you're not too tight, but that's what these are for. And if you really wanted to tighten down, make sure you don't lose your zero. You are not going to lose your zero if you do tighten these down. I don't, because I don't want to mar my receiver right now, because I'm not entirely sure I'm going to stick with this. I am thinking about getting the mag wedge one instead. But other than that, I also take this off every now and then and use my iron sights. And after about 200 rounds, you will get a little bit of that. Now this does help with your ejection angle, so you're not throwing it so far. It will kind of put them more towards the ground. I've even had one land on the shooting table and spin around like a tornado for a while. That was pretty funny. Me and my fiance had quite a laugh about that one. But you see, yeah, made in USA. And it's really nice having this all over your rifle, if you're a patriot like me. So, we can get this back on here, and we'll be good to go. We're going to put the bolt carrier and bolt together, and stick them in the gun. And I apologize for the shitty quality of the video. Now, I always close this guy when I'm working on this, so he's not just flopping around and in my face and messing with me. So, I always have to open him before I put everything back together. But once you're going to have to, if you get one of these, or any one of these, if you ever get any dust cover mount, you're going to have to grind them here. As long as you keep the same angle that it comes with, try to match the angle that's inside here. You'll see if you look inside here, it's got the same matching angle. And you can see where it also has kind of marked my receiver. And I'm not a big fan of that, so I haven't tightened those down. And if anything, you may get a slight right to left wobble, but it's going to make more of a difference up here than it's going to back here. It's really not moving that much back here. And if your scope's mounted, say right here, you're pretty good. You're not losing zero over 100 yards very much, if at all. And the rifle's not that accurate anyways. And if you're shooting at a body, you're still going to hit a body, in my opinion. Like, unless you're trying to get a headshot on a squirrel. So yeah, let's get this in here, finish putting this guy together. And I like to lift this guy up and bring him into the dust cover a little bit. It's very hard to do one-handed, guys. Tell you what, I'm going to pause you again. We'll come back when this is completed. Alright, it's on there. It's all good to go. Now the last things for that I have to do, this is an AR style pistol grip holder, and the Sage EBR Stock comes with an Ergo Grips. Let's see if I can get her in there. An Ergo Grips pistol grip, a gray one. And Ergo Grips makes a gap spacer to fill this gap if you want to. Now, I don't do that because I think you actually can get this thing apart without taking the pistol grip off if you don't have the spacer. Now you probably could just take the spacer in and out. I don't have the spacer, so I don't know what it looks like or exactly how it works, but it's supposed to fill the difference here. But it's a really nice pistol grip. It's also American made, and the pistol grip is a 922R regulated part. It just takes a 3/16 Allen key and put it in there. Now, we'll come back after I am finished with this, and we'll start to test run the rifle real quick. Alright, that's all together now. So the only thing I have to do yet never try this at home, kiddies. That's just not possible to do with one hand, is it? Let's see. Camera magic. I should have discovered the pause button several minutes ago. Okay, so now that I've discovered the pause button and the magic of the pause button, we're going to get back to this. So here we have the Archangel mags. I promised I would show you how these work together. So prepare to be impressed. That was very light. I put almost no pressure on that at all. Now it's not just gonna come out. You know, again, I'm one-handing it, so yeah, this extended bag release doesn't work very well if I'm trying to use it in an odd position like this without one hand. So obviously, if I was shooting, I would pull with this hand, remove this with my other hand, put the new one in, and charge the handle and be ready to go. You know, but these two play really well together. All this and the Carbo spring, and I definitely recommend them. Now the Sage stock, not to be sold short, is amazing. Obviously it's an aluminum stock. It's going to be a little bit heavier than your wood one. However, in my opinion, the SKS, I think the wood stock does it a bit of a disservice and makes it a little more inaccurate than it can be. I think the hardness of this receiver ending here does wonders in helping the SKS out. I've seen a video, you could look it up, guy with a picture of a white SKS on it, accurizing the SKS, and he beds his SKS. And I've talked to Sage about this a little bit, and they said they don't know where you would bed it because it is very firm. Everything in here, the tolerances are tight. You could see even after several hundred shots, it's not rubbing that much. Not that much is moving here, if anything's moving at all. So this will help, I think. I'm not making a claim for Sage. I don't work for Sage, but I think this does help accurize the SKS a little bit. And there are other stock options, obviously, but I'm not a big fan of the plastic. I like something that's a little bit more hardy, so I go with aluminum. I'm putting together another SKS, an SKSD, that takes AK-47 magazines, and I'm also using an aluminum stock in that one, but not the Sage. I got my hands on a Matador Arms Sabertooth, and you're not going to be able to find those anymore unless they start making them again. Maybe everybody could write Matador and say, hey, give us that stock some more. We need some, do another manufacturing run of your stock. That would be great. But I have one, so I'm not too worried about if you guys get one because I'm not you, just to be honest. Much love anyways. But I'm pretty sure Flint, Michigan, Sage is still making these. I know they make them for the M1 Garand. Hopefully they're still making. If not, again, hey, the power of the pen. Email. I contacted these guys through email and bought the stock directly from their salesman and had it shipped to me straight to my house. And I did all this work myself to it except for the things that already came on this. You know, that includes putting the gas tube inside of here. That includes putting this on here and all the internals in here. Putting this on here, although the buffer tube came with the stock, you know, and this here shaping and all this. And some of that might be a lot of work for you guys. And I would recommend, hey, if you want to shoot your iron sights, I don't blame you. Do it. Because this is a lot of effort and they're not that much of a benefit. Honestly. I like that it says UTG on here, and I could just take this rail cover off and just have this dust cover that says America on the back. And it has the ability to have a shell deflector mounted on it. which I do have a UTG shell deflector that is not this rail mount shell deflector that could just go on this dust cover, which I might use as well, because the irons on this thing work just fine. They work just fine. And so, yeah, that's my SKS. Hope you guys like it. If you guys are thinking about trying to do 922R build, all of these parts should still be available to you. I know that these are still available. I know these are still being made. I know the Murray's is all still making their stuff. And that gas piston from Iowa I got in the mail just a few weeks ago. And just had the chance to shoot it last weekend. Or maybe it was the weekend before last. Oh, how time flies. But that's my SKS, and I hope you guys like it. Right here, let's check this trigger pull. You guys ready? Smooth. Smooth, almost no pressure at all. 2 or 3 pounds, and it snaps clean as a bell. I don't have the measuring device, but you can go to Carbo's website, and they do the demonstration of the difference between the two in the exact same rifle, and you'll see that it is way better. It is way better, and this rifle here is combat ready, in my opinion. Now, if I was going to take it into combat, I might take this off, or I might just put a red dot on here, something that sits in the back. Because, again, it is a little back and forth motion, and it's definitely more up here where things are not held down than it is over here. This is not much of the issue. And if you had a red dot on here, you're not losing center enough that you're going to notice that it's going to make a difference in your shot. If you're aiming center mass, you're still going to hit center mass, in my opinion, for at least 100 yards. So I wouldn't see the big deal. Now, oh, one of the other things I did, I got a Tapco full-length foregrip. Now, as you know, banana mags, you know, they face outwards because the round makes this have to be this way. In order to have a full-length handguard on here, a full-length pistol grip, you'd have to have it all the way up here. Because if not, you cannot get the magazines in and out, unfortunately. Maybe if it was the AK-style magazines like in my SKSD, we could. But in the duckbill magazines, this has to lever too far for the full-length Tapco or any of the other ones. So I'm going to end up having to get a smaller one, or trying to get one of these with a tiny lip on it so that I have something that keeps my hand back and lets me rest on it when I shoot. And I have some of those in black, but I was thinking about giving this gun a paint job using that dip material that you can use to camouflage your gun. It's supposed to help it fight rust too, but that's obviously not a problem with aluminum. Aluminum does not rust. So that I can take this gun hunting, and I could even get this exact buttstock in a green or a brown from Combat Arms. They make this in a couple different colors. I thought about getting a couple different ones of these. I'm so satisfied with this buttstock that I want more than one. And the Ergo Grips makes a brown and green pistol grip. I like this pistol grip. They have some different sizes as well. And American made. You can't go wrong buying American, and that's one of the main reasons why I do what I do to this gun and what I'm doing to the other one, is because America. God bless. I hope you guys like this SKS video. Give it a thumbs up, share it, pass it on. Give me critiques, tell me to go to hell. I don't care. Have a good one. Bye.